Help support Danny Hauger Podcast by going on iTunes or Amazon and checking out the album Sleepy Kitten, now available, featuring exclusive tracks from Danny Hauger Studios, recorded and produced by independent artist, me, Danny Hauger, at DHX Music on Twitter. And now, today, for your listening pleasure, we listen back to 2009 with an interview I did with the Gin Blossoms rockin' guitarist, Scotty Johnson. And we'll take a listen to that interview now, right here on Danny Hauger Podcast. And my guest today has recorded some of my favorite songs of all time, and it's a great pleasure to speak with you today. Scotty Johnson from the Gin Blossoms, thank you for taking the time out, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good here. Traffic's a mess, but we're doing all right down here in Fullerton. Tell me, Scotty, were you raised in a musical background?
Yes, I was. My mom was a piano player, and my dad's a singer. My older brothers had band practice in the basement of our house, and that kind of thing when I was a kid. So, yeah, lots of music in my family for sure.
At what point growing up, I guess if it was around you that much, did you consider, hey, this might be the path for me, man. Music is my thing.
Yeah, I knew early on, young age, that that's what I wanted to do. And, I decided probably by 7th grade that I wanted to play guitar. I started with drums, and then I switched over to guitar, about 12 years of age or something like that.
When you were learning guitar, what kind of stuff were you listening to? Who were you trying to emulate?
Zeppelin was huge at that point. I mean, they're big now, but, that was like pretty prime days for them. So that was a big part of it. I always really liked the Stones and the Beatles, and then I also really liked some of the jazz guitar players, Joe Pass and some guys like that.
Right on. Take me back to 1992. That was the year you joined the Gin Blossoms. What was it like coming into the group, and what were your impressions of the band at the time?
It was pretty exciting at that moment. They had a record deal, which none of my other bands that I'd played in had. So that made them stand out quite a bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. I have kind of a funny story because Jesse, the other guitarist, said to me, look, he goes, we'll probably go out, support New Musical Experience for a month, go back home, they'll probably do another tour, another, 2 or 3 week tour, and then we'll just go back to playing, local shows in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And of course, that last 3 years, we supported New Musical Experience, and basically, we went out for a year to support it, and it didn't really take off until a year in. So once Hey Jealousy hit, we'd already put in quite a bit of time, but we stuck it out for another 2 years promoting it, and it was an exciting time. Do
you ever get tired of letting the cops drive us around and playing that night in, night out? It's such a great song. I just wonder, though, night after night, you still bring that pop for you when you play it? Still feel good?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. The crowd reaction is always stupendous for that song, of course. You guys play such a great show. What I've noticed is the Gin Blossoms mix slow and fast-paced songs as well as any band that I'm aware of. From Until I Fall Away, it's kind of a thoughtful, reflective mood, but still upbeat. Or you guys can pulse pump with Idiot Summer, Day Job, so many great songs, two completely different feels and methods. What is it about your style of playing and the vision of the band that allows for that?
I don't know. I guess I know personally, growing up, as I said, I liked rock music and jazz music, and I first started playing gigs with my brother. Kind of had a variety band, they called it back then. I don't know. Basically, it was a cover band. And then he would do that, too. He would, I was just out of high school, I was about 18. They would do, sambas, and then they, do rock songs, and then they do jazz songs, and then they do R&B. And so, I kind of learned at a young age to do that and to try to be flexible in ways. You know what I mean? I didn't have to be the best country guitar player, but for, those 5 country songs, Waylon Jennings songs we did, I had to at least try to fake it,
So that's kind of like that's kind of like a big difference playing with your brother to playing with the Gin Blossoms, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty young at that time. Yeah, so and then later on, I remember, when I first heard the collection of songs that were going to be on New Musical Experience, and I thought, there was a country song on there, and like you said, there was some more of a slower tempo ballads, and then of course some rockers. And I remember thinking at the time too that was kind of risky because nowadays with Wilco and all these other bands, now it's not so strange to have a disco song and then a country song and then a rock song. People are a little more accepting of it, but back in the late 80s and early 90s, that was not a cool thing to do at all. So, I'm proud of the songwriting, and everybody, has different takes on songs, and it's fun to do that. I think that is maybe one of the problems with a lot of bands is you can't you got to try different grooves and things. You don't want to get stuck playing the same thing all the time.
Right. It's the versatility, I think, and the song repertoire that I think is one of the most valuable assets you guys have as a band. It's such an amazing catalog. Honestly, listen to it every day. I've seen you guys in Cerritos and Indio, House of Blues Anaheim, always a fantastic show. What's it like touring through the country, meeting people, and just play? You guys have been at it for so long, and you're still touring. You guys are one of the hardest working bands in rock. What's it like touring around the country?
It's really, there's such huge dynamics. First of all, going from, you do a small town on a Tuesday or Wednesday, you know what I mean? You do smaller markets during the week. And then on the weekends, you hit the major cities. And so that in my mind is, the contrast is, some things are exactly alike. Like all the malls are exactly the same. You know what I mean? There's a Gap. In small town America, there's a Gap, in downtown Manhattan, But the people are different. And obviously when you're smaller town, people are a little nicer, and, it's just different vibes. And then also, there's such great differences between, Alabama and Illinois. There's completely type of different feel with the Southerners, and then same thing, in the Northeast and, the Southeast and the Northwest, and everybody has a little bit different accents, and that's the real curious thing to me is, there's definitely local flavor in different parts of the country, and that's it's really great to be a part of that. And then, like I said, then also small town America, to get in touch with like a real Americana feel and what people are concerned and thinking about. That's an exciting thing for me. I find it very interesting.
Yeah. Where's your favorite place? Like, if you can pick a perfect place to play, where would you play at? Like a big venue or a small venue, or?
Well, the size of the venue doesn't matter, but I mean, obviously playing in the big cities is pretty cool. Red Rocks up in Denver, near Denver, that's really a magical experience there. I don't know if you've ever been to that venue before.
No, sorry.
It's an outdoor amphitheater. It's really, truly amazing to play there. And, whenever you're in a big city, Los Angeles or New York, I mean, that's fun because, there's so much excitement, and just for us to be able to play to those audiences, and it's, that's exciting. The big cities, London, Paris.
Now you're just bragging.
Are exciting.
Hey, Scotty, have some of the song meanings changed over time to you? Do they still mean the same thing as they were when you were in the recording studio?
Oh, you do kind of think, well, maybe, you might think, oh, that lyric, has changed for me over the years. I mean, that does happen. We try to keep the music similar just because, that's just what we do. We're good. We don't like improvising over our songs. You know what I mean? We try to keep them as they were recorded. But lyrically, for sure, for whatever reason, the line will hit you a little bit differently. You think about things a little bit differently, than you may have, 10 years ago.
I'm talking with Scott Johnson of the Gin Blossoms here on Titan Talk. The band is playing in San Diego at Anthology. For ticketing info, call 619-595-0300 or visit ginblossoms.net. You've also played with Roger Klein. How did you guys get together?
Oh, yeah, Raj. He actually, Gin Blossoms basically split up for about 5 years, and Roger was playing in the Refreshments. We're another Tempe, Arizona band.
Right.
I don't know if, anyways, if listeners are familiar. But basically, our bands broke up about the same time, and I saw Roger playing a solo gig by himself at one of the local clubs called Nita's Hideaway. And I just came up to him after the show. I'd known him for a while. And I just said, dude, I'll play guitar for you, man. You know, it's like a no-brainer. You know, I mean, I knew all the songs, and I knew his old guitar player Brian well, and you know what I mean. It was a small music community, and we all hung out and knew each other, and we both got signed about the same time, and both stopped playing music about the same time. So yeah, that's basically how it started. It went through a few transformations. You know, originally Roger didn't, at that time, didn't want to really necessarily be the leader of the band, and so there was another guy that took over for a while, and then, because at that time, actually, Roger was thinking of stop doing music altogether.
Wow.
Which, thank God he didn't do that. Yeah.
Right.
So it evolved, and eventually, once we really started going out doing gigs, I mean, it was pretty obvious that, you know, Roger's the guy that should be singing because, you know, he's a professional singer, and the other guy that was trying to kind of lead the band, it just wasn't working, and so it was slow. We started out doing happy hours. We did happy hour every Tuesday at a little place by ASU. And then we started doing Sunday nights, every Sunday night. So it slowly grew, and then, you know, eventually it took off as, you know, they're doing great. And it was a really great experience. And you know, but however, when Jim Blossom said, hey, we're going to get back together, you know, you got to decide what you want to do. So I chose to go back with Jim Blossoms just because we had so much history together, and you know, I wanted to be a part of anything they were going to do in the future. And
stand by that decision today. Proud of it.
I'm proud of that decision. Or proud of Peacemakers.
Oh, both, I guess. But I meant thinking back, that could have been a major turning point. That
was a hard decision, you know. Well, but basically, also in Jim Blossoms, I'm a partner, and when you play with Roger, you're a side guy. So that's a big difference.
Okay. Well,
you know what I mean. I have control of my destiny with Jim Blossoms, and with Roger, you know, I was his guitar player.
Gotcha.
So it's a big difference in my mind, you know, as far as creative and Lee and all kinds of business stuff, you know.
Okay. And speaking of creative influence, you've got your self-titled solo album out now, 12 tracks. I like what I've heard. Tell us a bit about the album, what it means to you.
Well, it's you know, it was a lot different having to do everything. You know, I had to organize just the call times for the players that came in and played, and I had to do everything where when you're just a guitar player in the band, you just kind of show up and maybe have some lunch, you know, play a few,
nice.
Play a few riffs, and then, you know, you're done. But yeah, this was like, you know, I had to be organized. You know, I had to make it happen, and I had to pay players, and I had to pay the engineer, and I had to take care of all this stuff. So that was really the thing that was hard about it, was just that. But I learned a lot, and you know, it's fun. I would like to do one in the future, but you know, it's kind of expensive.
Is it? The prices are up there these days, huh?
Yeah, mine was about $8,000.
Wow.
And I think that's about right. At least $5,000 to make a record, and even if in somebody's living room on a Pro Tools setup, you know, you still got to pay for stuff.
Hey, the Danny Hauger recordings aren't cheap these days either, I'll tell you what. And I'm a bitch to work with, I'll give you that, man. Jesse released a great project with tunes young people will enjoy, and I thought that was really bright. How would you compare your style with that of your bandmate?
Compare with my style with Jesse's?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, Jesse's got this really smooth thing. I mean, he's really got, I don't know how to describe it, but I except maybe that it's soulful. He's got this really soulful thing, the way he sings, and his approach to writing and his approach to playing guitar. He really, you know, I mean, he's connected with something that I think, you know, not everybody can connect with, but he does it with ease and grace, and he's spot on that kind of thing. And, you know, that's something that, you know, I have to strive to do. He just does it, you know, boom, he's got it. And, you know, it's a really special thing.
The newest band release is the live album, which I thought was really great, solid recording and on an excellent performance, and also Major Lodge victory. I'll give you this, man. I think of all the bands that were around when you guys started, you guys are producing the best quality of music with what your band is based on. I honestly thought that album was among your best work.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, there were some amazing songs on that album that I think stand up with some of your greatest works. And what ideas kind of came along with that album different than maybe what was coming out in '94?
Well, we tried to do some different types of grooves. We tried to do a little bit different. We didn't want to stray too far from what we do well, but I think we did try to do something a little bit different with some of those songs. And it was really amazing the way it all set up, because our president from A&M Records started his own label, and so that from him basically coming along and saying, "Hey, I'll pay for the recording. I want you guys," and that it, just the way it fell together was really a great thing, because we really had no home, and we were wondering about releasing it ourselves, or should we sign with the label. When he stepped in, and from there came that album. We spent a month in Memphis, Jesse and I, doing all the guitars, and it was freezing cold, and we didn't have a car. And we'd have to walk to the studio, I remember, every morning. But, we stuck it out, and you just keep going. I knew that I was only going to be there a short period of time. See, I live in Arizona. You guys live in California. I'm used to it, being fairly warm in the winter.
Right.
This was freezing, and, it was, it's just funny. Those are the things that stick in my mind when people talk about specific records. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember I had to,
I had to put a sweater on that day. That's right.
I had to walk through the snow, 3 feet of snow.
For 4
barefooted.
miles. 4 miles to lay down one track. You kids today make me sick. No,
we did that, and then Danny Wild came in and mixed it. We had the same producer, John Hampton, who we've had for years on all of our recordings, but we had a different guy mix this one. And Danny Wild is from the Rembrandts, and he's a friend of ours. And I thought he did a great job on the mix. I really got to give him some kudos for that. He did a great job.
Oh, he sure did. There's absolutely some amazing tracks. Everyone, Major Lodge Victory, really check it out if you have not already. Baltimore on Friday. What can the Balmer fans expect? And, what are you looking forward to for the next few shows?
Well, we're kind of basically the tour, the kind of tour ends, this in Baltimore. And then we're off for a month, and actually we're going to be in the studio recording some more.
Right.
And then, then we have that little run where we're in just the top of, or in November, we have a couple of dates, and I know California's one of them. And so I'm kind of excited about this one this weekend, because I get to have some time off. So usually the last show of the tour is kind of fun, and everybody, has a good time, and we reflect on the summer or whatever. But so by November, we'll be all refreshed and ready to go out again.
Sounds great, and I'm really looking forward to the new recording sessions. Can't wait till those albums come out. Last question, you've been very generous with your time today, Scotty. If you could speak to yourself at age 22, what would you say?
That's 22. I don't know what I would say. I got pretty lucky. Things worked out pretty well for me. I guess I would just say to just keep. At that point in your life, I think there's a lot of doubt about, boy, do I want to be a guitar player? That's insane. You know what I mean? You have a bad gig, or something doesn't go well, and you think, there's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of doubt. I think for me there was, anyways. To make, you don't want to make the wrong decision about your life, and be a guitar player and mess everything up. But I would probably say, hey, don't worry about things so much. Everything's going to work out.
Scotty Johnson of the Gin Blossoms, again, they're playing in San Diego, and everyone should definitely go check that out. It's going to be an awesome show. Ticket info at ginblossoms.net. It's an anthology. And Scotty, thank you so much for being one of your biggest fans. And if you guys ever need a recording guitarist in Fullerton, hey, just look me up. I got time for you anytime, buddy.
You got it covered?
Oh yeah, I can play any song you guys got. Just call me up. I got your back.
All right, brother. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Scotty. Have a good one, man.